Welcome or welcome back to day 61 of our chess journey to 1500 ELO on chess.com. Let's just jump on ahead into our browser here and find a game. Now we get Ajim Petrov from Albania. I guess we'll go 1d4 again today. Once I get time to look further into English opening theory, I'll try some more games with 1c4 again. Now if we do win this game, we are going to have the highest ELO we had so far actually. I think this is the main line, but I think e3 works as well, targeting the pawn straight away. And let's see how our opponent responds. They give us the pawn, so let's just go on ahead and grab it. Honestly, we do face the Queen's Gambit accepted surprisingly often, but I guess some people want to test whether we know the theory or not, because otherwise they might just get a winning position. Let's just develop our knight here and prepare for castling. Now we do have a strong center, and the c-file might become an asset for us. We could both castle here I think. I'd also like to look into playing for the c-file by probably getting our knight here instead of over here. Or we might be able to jump this way, but then this would be our only way of avoiding the c-file. Anyways, let's castle first. And then take it from there. b3 might be a move. Just want to have a quick look here. The reason I'm looking at b3 is for developing the bishop here, grabbing space. Yeah, and that's about it really. But a3 might be an idea as well, to build for b4 like this. But this might also allow us to play bishop to a3 here, trading off this bishop and getting rid of our own weaker bishop. And I think that might be preferable. Then we get our opponent's dark squared bishop off, and we maintain our own light squared bishop. So I think I'd argue for this move, because our opponent's pawns here, at least on the king's side, and here they have a majority of their pawns on the light squares. They keep up the idea of doing so. The thing is, if we do trade like this, our knight is going to end up on the edge of the board. But we might be able to remaneuver it back like this, for example. Well, this move I think should seek to play this. Here we might have a4, but then our b3 pawn is going to be a bit weak. If we do go here and our opponent comes up like this, we take, because this doesn't work for our opponent. So let's get this bishop out and then see what our opponent plays. I'm expecting this, this, and this. Then we drop back and play on this file. So currently here our bishop I think complements our pawn structure a bit better. We do get this move. There is zero reason to try to think about taking. We'll just have to drop back. I don't think we have to come back here because our opponent can't come up here and pin us. so this square makes more sense, staring down at their king. We might even have ideas of coming around here, but probably not. Well, actually their bishop does come around here though, which also does hit our knight, but this might not be the end of the world. I would like to move this rook first, because then we can come around here without blocking our rook into the corner. So let's look here. Can this knight be pressured? Just want to make sure our opponent can't utilize this bishop to... No, I think this is okay. We'll go here and try to target our opponent's weaknesses. This pawn is going to become a nuisance, I think, to defend. If they go here, it's going to block the bishop, and it's going to be a backwards pawn still. Here, and we control this square pretty nicely. We might even be looking at ideas like this to complement our bishop and lock theirs out, maybe, from doing too much. We'll have to see. This hits our knight. It's a one-move threat. Although, if we do come back here and the knight jumps in, well, this is not quite ideal, to be honest. Let's have a look here. If the knight does jump in here, then we might have to play this weakening move. And that's not ideal. But we don't want to lose our knight. That's going to be a loss if we do. So let's drop this back and then deal with the defensive play over here. I'm expecting this move to happen. It does. But now, do we have an alternative way of doing this? This hits their knight and the queen, but if we do jump here, they can take with the knight and win a pawn, which is not ideal. Their threat is taking the knight. This, they still take. If we take, this is checkmate. G3 might be our best move, but it's a really bad move. Just want to have a look at this again. Is this playable? Not at all. This still loses a pawn. Yeah, honestly, this is not ideal. But if we play here, we could follow it up with h3 and maybe h4 to get this kind of a pawn structure. It's not really what I would have liked to see, but it might have to happen. And after going here, we might look at this fork, which might be an idea for us. But yeah, I'm not seeing an alternative here to playing g3. We can't really block this in any other way. We don't want to hang our knight though. So if we get this, and they come down here to hit the knight, we might have to drop our bishop back. Ah, yeah, this is really looking suboptimal, to say the least. But well, if we do get this, we could probably play for the center. Yeah, let's just go for this. I'm not seeing an alternative, and then we'll look for a follow-up. If they don't come here, I'm not quite sure. I would like to kick this knight away though. And if we do get the option of trading their bishop for ours, I would like to do so now, because with this first d3 move, our light squares are looking horribly weakened. It's a good thing for our opponent. They had this great fork they found, forcing us back and then coming in with this combination. That's a really powerful move by our opponent. They go for this, which as I mentioned probably forces this. Alternatively, there might be an argument for playing king to g2 here, which does the same thing basically, defending the knight. But it feels really bad to play. Then we pin ourselves. I was looking at this though. The pawn is defended by the knight here. e4 might be the best move. Then where does the queen go? It could jump over here. But that's bad for us as well. That's going to be difficult to protect. Unless we come here, I guess. But I would like to be able to kick the knight out with h3 first. We can't do so here. But well, that's probably just a detail. But this does pin our knight through an X-ray. This is just getting more and more complicated. But well, honestly, if we do come here, they go here. After this, if they don't move those pieces, we could try to win the knight in some way here, because if the knight moves, we grab the queen. And they might have to play this, but that might even be a good move though. Yeah, this is difficult. But I'm realizing we have this move now. And this might be our saving grace. Developing our knight here while also defending our other knight. Yeah, this is looking promising. Then this might not be as bad as I thought it might be. This is why it's a good thing to have a lot of time in critical positions, so we can find moves like this instead of wasting time weakening our position. Our opponent does come over, but does this not just work out in our favor after this move? Well, h4 is pretty much forced, I think. We might have this, but then this gets a bit difficult to defend properly. Or we might still have e4 in this position, but I'm not a fan of it. h4. Well, this is still looking okay, I think. I think we probably have two ideas here. We do have to deal with this straight away. This looks bad. So let's come up here. Can they sack here? Well, that's a check. Oh, that's disgusting if they do. They get 2 pawns, but then they fork our king and the bishop. Oh, that's looking really bad for us. Maybe we have to play here and come here and try to win the knight. What happens if we get this? This is looking so awkward. It's really annoying. They seem to be having this sack here, because I can't seem to find a counter to it. We would have to take... Oh, never mind. Oh, now we can play h4. I thought the knight was aligned with the queen here hitting this, but it's not. So then we can come in. Yeah. Whew. Wasted a bit of time, but hopefully it's not going to matter all that much. We might want to come back here to hit the knight in some way. But then they take here. Our opponent here is playing great aggressive chess. Kudos to them. Can we come around here perhaps? This seems good. Yeah. Then we hit the knight. They can't move it because they would lose the queen. They could come here, but then we can trade the queens and the position gets a lot easier to play. If they come back here, this might be an idea, but honestly it's probably easier to not trade what I was going to say. They play f5 here. Yeah, this is looking a bit difficult. But what if we'd come down here with the bishop, threatening the knight further? I don't think they have enough pieces to defend it. Well, they might come here actually. This is getting messy. But I guess we'll just go and play for this. No, honestly, if we play, or they can take with the pawn. They don't have to take with the rook. We have this. This looks good. A good old fork. I'm not seeing any immediate threats, so this might be good for us. This doesn't work. This defends the knight, but it gives up the file. They might try to play on the file, but then we take a piece. Either piece should be good for us to get. So I think this attack here might actually be really good for us as long as our opponent doesn't have a winning move against our king. But the knight here is paralyzed because of the pin towards the queen. And the queen can't do a whole lot. This pawn push and we take for free. If this knight moves, I'm not seeing a threat. Then we take the bishop, I'm pretty sure. This diagonal is still looking really scary. But the queen can't easily get onto it now, so the bishop is playing alone here. Luckily they can't come down here and counter hit us. Our opponent sacks the bishop. There is no way this works, right? I'm pretty sure we just take. This is looking like hope chess to me. We take this bishop. Probably grab a knight. And trade pieces here as much as possible, and this looks like a good position to me. We just don't have to get checkmated. Luckily we have a lot of pieces surrounding our king, so it should not... Well, we shouldn't risk losing the game immediately, although it might happen. Or at least we might lose at some point. I'm looking at this move. This should force material off the board. We could play this first and then play this. Honestly, I'm not quite sure as to what the difference is going to be between the move orders, but I think this forces more material off the board. Or at least it should force some favorable trade to us. And now let's just go for the immediate trade-off. We'll look after the game. I don't want to spend too much time. Either option does look good to me at least. This, and they have moved the rook away now, so they aren't opening up their own rook. If the knight takes, we pin another knight, and then this should force a lot of material off. Yeah, we'll just go for this, and listen, any simplification here should work out in our favor, I'm pretty sure. This knight is going to have to get repositioned after trading here. I'd like to get onto this square. This looks like a good transformation, but if the knight gets here, we can't jump through that square. What is their idea here? We could probably even push. If we push, we get a passed pawn, but it's not defended. If we take, I think we take first actually. They have to address this. They take with the pawn. Now I think we can maybe push this and play for this, which looks good in my book. This pawn is going to be a weakness. We get this passed pawn, which is going to be defended. Then we get this, protected by the knight. And I think we are looking quite good in this position. Just want to make sure we don't have a better idea here. But this does seem more concrete and should lead to a win. At least that's what I'm hoping. So let's come up here. They could grab this file now, but that would not be all that scary actually. They push this pawn. So now we can't easily defend this pawn. I thought they couldn't push because we could take, but they have the rook of course. Now our pawn here is hanging. But if they take this pawn, then we can take theirs. No, we can't. This rook is a problem. So what do we do in this position? We need to get our pieces arranged in a better way. Let's move this knight to defend the pawn. Let's come down here, I guess. This is not ideal, but we'll have to come the long way around to get our pieces activated. This might be coming to hit our pawn. Then what happens if we get this? We can take. So I think I'd like to argue for coming up here, hitting their pawn and defending ours. We still have some conversion to do, but the second we get the queens off the board, I think we should be probably in a good spot, to be honest. We could look to push this pawn. We might have been able to do it now even, last move. The queen comes in. Do we not have this move, perhaps? I think we might. This looks promising. Trying to look for a queen trade. And forcing their queen into a passive position. This does double our pawns, but we have such a great lead here, it doesn't really matter. And then we can take this pawn after the queen moves. Well, it depends on where it moves. Or actually it doesn't, it can't actually hit this rook, which was my first worry here. But then I think we might be in a good spot. I'm still a bit worried about this diagonal. Now it's because of our rook. Oh, I just realized we might be threatening mate here. And that's going to be difficult to defend, so our opponent takes our queen. We have to take. This pawn is defended. Although it is isolated, we have double isolated pawns. We could come in here and maybe look for a push. We could hit this pawn. This move here doesn't work. What happens if we trade pawns? Then I think we might come behind our pawn, but we don't have to give up this pawn. Let's just go behind this pawn instead. But what happens if our knight gets targeted? Honestly, let's trade pawns. We are going to trade a weakness of ours. And our knight won't be as weak, I hope. This might come. We still have a passed pawn. Let's come behind here. We might lose another pawn, but that's still going to be a winning position. I'm expecting this, doubling up. Then we go here and trade off one pair of rooks. We can win this pawn perhaps and push up through the queen side. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Now this does look okay. Let's go for it. We want to simplify, and we can easily do so by sacrificing a pawn. They take. Now we have this maneuver defending our pawn while taking theirs. This should be forced. So what I'm expecting to happen is this, 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 and this. We defend our pawn and threaten theirs. We are going to get a bit locked in by this pawn on g4 for a while. That might not be a problem though, because we are up a knight. Well, this is better for us even. Now we can defend like this. If they target our knight, we take this pawn. So yeah, this is looking like a win. We'll just have to convert without spending too much time, because that's how we lose those winning positions. So we'll grab the free pawn. This is looking like a free pawn. Well, they might play g6. And it might even be a good move. But now I'd like to drop back, cut the king out of the game here, and then we'll look to win the game. King can't leave this 8th file, or 8th rank rather. Everything is protected. And then let's see what we do afterwards. We might even have ideas of coming over here and hitting this pawn. That might not be the best idea. I think I'd like to come over here to defend this pawn to free up our knight. Then we might look for this. Let's hit their rook first on the way over. If this pawn pushes, we take the other pawn. And I think this should be a sufficiently good technique. Now this should allow us to push our pawn. But what happens if they target us like this? How do we defend our b pawn? Let's push the b pawn first, actually. Then we might have an idea of coming like this. If they go here, I think we push our a pawn one square rather. And then we'll prepare this push here at some point. To play this, I don't want to give up this king trap, or whatever you'd call it. This, and we do have this even. Honestly, I'm willing to give up one pawn over here to start getting those pawns. That's going to be an easy win. I would like to be behind this pawn, but we don't have to. Now we threaten this pawn. They can't defend it because of our pawn. And this is a simplification that's going to be ideal for us. The king will come over, we'll lose this pawn, but what's that going to mean? We win all of their pawns, and the material advantage is going to be, it's going to be felt, to say the least. Then this knight move, and we pick up this pawn. Being up a knight and 3 pawns in an endgame, that should be winning. I guess we'll come down here and hit their rook with tempo. If they hit our knight, we might come over here and then start pushing pawns. If the king starts coming over, we drop the knight away. Not this move necessarily, but we can do so afterwards. The second the king comes over here, we get the knight away, and it can't come on over. Honestly, I'd like to play for... let's just play h5. Should be sufficiently good. And we'll just slowly advance. Let's come around with our knight. If this, we have a fork, but I'm not expecting our opponent with 10 minutes to blunder that. They might go here, but that's not ideal. Now we go here, keep pushing pawns. We can play for this, and I'm not seeing how this is anything but winning. Let's drop back. They can't check us. Everything is defended. And then I think g5 followed by h6. And I think we are looking to be in a good spot. As I might have said a few times already, but this is decisively winning. It's just all about conversion. We'll come up with a pawn here. If they hit us like this, we defend with the rook. Which, I mean, it's a bit more passive of a defense than I would have liked, so maybe this is better. Hitting the rook and defending ourselves. They might come here, but I'm not seeing where they will infiltrate. If they check us, we come up, and that's what we want. A free move, advancing with our pawns. We are 3 moves away from getting a queen now. h6 should win the game, I'm pretty sure. Then our opponent has to play defensively, and they can't keep on trying to generate threats because of our queen. So if they come here, we might even have this, which would force this. Well, that's an unexpected move. Here we just push. They can't take. And now we just keep on coming up the board. If they come here or here, we skewer the rook. And if this is played, now we can't move there like this, then we lose this, but let's come up here instead. And this is a first queen. We go up. If they go here, we queen. They can't stop us like this, so this should be winning. We could see this move, but then we just stay on this file, making sure we don't lose our pawn. This pawn is important because it disallows our opponent from coming here to hit our pawn. And also if it is taken, it's taken with a check, and then they can come in behind our king, for example. Now this is winning. It might have been their best move even. But now we have a quick checkmate, I'm pretty sure. This looks like a ladder mate. And this can be pre-moved, and we have our win. This is our highest ELO so far. So that's quite fun. Now we are climbing for the time being. Thanks a lot for the game. Thanks for the game. To Jim Petro from Albania. Let's jump on ahead into the game review. So we played with an accuracy of 88.8 today, and our opponent played with 82.0. Honestly, this makes no sense to me. We have a difference of 6 to 7 in accuracy, and just as comes as the ELO difference was about 800. At times here, I can't quite comprehend what those numbers mean. Either way, let's jump on ahead and see what we should have played differently. I see we had a mistake and a miss today. This was all normal. Book moves, this deviated a bit. Well, it's not a bad move though, it's just a bit passive. We castled, they castled. This was not the best move. This would have been better. Here we lost our remaining advantage. I guess the computer doesn't quite like the offside knight. And here we should have went back with our bishop, which we found out later on. this move here did generate some annoying threats against our knight. But this was still in the balance. They blundered and we missed it. So what's the move here? This was apparently decisively winning for us. Let's try to find out why. Is this the move? Yeah. I've never had this work in a game of mine. I've seen this idea, but I don't think I've ever seen it being playable in a game. So I'm not really looking for the idea actively, at least. Here we win the knight, and we get the pawn, and the king gets exposed. It's much easier when you know the position is winning, or when you are playing puzzles. Either way, it's an interesting idea. I'll just have to look for similar ideas in the future. We missed it, they missed something as well. Here they had the best move being knight to f7 or knight to d7. Knight to f6 rather. Going back and just saying, haha, I induced a weakness, good luck defending this diagonal. This was good as well, getting the last knight into the game. Here we had a good move apparently. We had several good moves actually. But I'm not seeing the idea here. Is this not losing? Oh, we could have taken with a knight, of course. I was worried for no reason. I forgot about this knight replacing our other. So we could have taken the pawn earlier on. But we learn and we improve. So we went back. Now we took. And from this point on, the game should be pretty trivial. The best move here was taking first and then pinning the other knight after it came back in. We took. The best move here was knight to f3. I would have never played this move. This makes much more sense, getting material off the board and killing their attacking piece. We pushed. This was okay. This was not the best move. Computer preferred. Oh, it didn't. Doesn't the top move say knight to b1? Maybe not. Yeah, I'm a bit confused. Well, anyways, this was still good. We came up here. We forced a queen trade. I didn't expect this to be a first queen trade. But essentially we threatened mate as well by accident. So we got the queens off the board. This was okay. We came behind here. And this was actually a mistake. Because, oh my god, that's a massive blunder. Yeah, that's no good. But well, we could have taken, they would have went here, and we would have maybe played with a passed pawn here. But yeah, this is a bad blunder. A really bad blunder. Which might have actually cost us our winning chances. The computer still loves our position here after this. But, well, I'm not quite convinced. This is not as easy to win as it might seem. Or well, it might be. Here when we get c6, what happens here? b4, and then a3, but what if they come back hitting our pawn? Then we can come here, because of this we have c6. Yeah, I guess it's a good position still, but it's not as decisively winning and not as easy to convert, I think at least. Well, our opponent didn't spot this mistake. They took, and we got what we wanted. Now we cut off their king. Best move. was apparently checking. Oh no, now the computer says A4. Well, that makes sense. If our pawn is hit, is this good? Yeah, probably. This is defended, this is defended. The rook is hit, and we can slide on over. But we went for this idea. We came back around here. All good moves. We collected pawns, and then from this point on, it was just a conversion. We got our letter checkmate. Did we have a quicker one? Not really, this was the quickest one. So there we go. Our highest ELO so far, guys. We are getting there. Once again, thanks a lot for the game, Jim Petro. Thank you for all the viewers for watching to the end of the video. This has been our game for today, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye bye!